Shalom, my friends, and welcome to Weekly Parsha with Yehuda Yisrael. This is a new book of the Torah, Bamidbar, also known as Numbers. It happens to be my favorite book of the Torah. It has my two favorite parshiot in it. See if you guys can guess what my favorite parsha is, or if you can guess what my second favorite parsha is. You can put it in the comments down below. If you can, based off of the other content in my channel, guess what my favorite parsha is in the Torah. The hint is, it's in this book, the book of Bamidbar. Yeah, I wonder if any of you can get it. So, yeah, feel free to comment below what that might be. So let's get into the Parsha. This Parsha itself, I'll just spoiler alert, this is not my favorite Parsha in Bamidbar. This Parsha is very, you'll see that there's, the English name for this is Numbers, but, and I can sort of see why here it's a lot of counting. So the Lord spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert in the tent of meeting on the first day of the second month in the second year after the exodus of Egypt, saying, "Take the sum of the congregation of children of Israel by families, following their fathers' houses, a head count of every male according to their number of their names." So that's where you get numbers. Now, this establishes the precedence for tribal heritage going through the father biologically, through, this is, obviously the premise for the idea that being a Jew, right, we understand through halacha, and I can get into the book of Ezra to say this is the misconception that a lot of people have, right? They say, well, I thought in Judaism it goes through your mother. Well, the idea of you being a part of Israel does go through your mother. If we look in the book of Ezra, I'll make it a separate video on this if you guys want me to. It also it coincides with the video that I made on the oral Torah, that this is a precedent for that even though tribal heritage is explicitly described as going through the father, we have substantial evidence from the Tanach to indicate, even from the Torah, there are some sources that you might not be aware of that show that being just a part of the nation of Israel is through the mother. Now, that doesn't determine your tribe. Through the father determines your tribe, which is how we know that, the story of Jesus and the virgin birth would disqualify Jesus from being the Messiah, assuming that he didn't have a biological father, which is what most Christians claim. That is how we can debunk that based on what is happening here, the way it's described. And yes, we'll get into the daughters of Tzlavchad later, where we can, that's also in the book of Numbers, where Christians try and distort the context of that to say that it somehow goes through the mother in certain circumstances. But as we'll see later, they still had to marry within their tribe, and that's the only way that they were able to maintain their inheritance. So it's still dependent on the father, either way, even in the case of Tzlavchad, in terms of tribal inheritance. But anyway, so from 20 years and onwards, all who are fit to go out to the army of Israel, you shall count by them, by the legions, you and Aaron. You will therefore, with you there shall be a man of each tribe, one who is the head of his father's house. And then it goes through the tribe of Ruvain and gives all the names here. And then it goes through, so these are like these are the men who are the leaders of their respective tribes. So you have of Reuben, you have Elitzur, the son of Shedior. From Shimon, you have Shelumiel, and then son of Shaddai. And then from Yehuda, Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, right? So there's a lot of, there's a midrash, I think, about Nachshon going into the Yam Suf, the Sea of Reeds, and it like splitting when he was like one of the first to do that. So he has a lot of significance. From Yisachar, you have Netanel, the son of Zuar. From Zebulun, you have Eliab, the son of Helon. And for the tribe of Yosef, and then it gives the two, because Yosef was split, you have Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud, and Menashe, Gamliel, the son of Pedazur. Oh, I wonder if this is the first instance of the name Gamliel in the Torah. From the tribe of, okay, so from Binyamin you have Abidan, the son of Gideoni. This Gamliel is interesting, right? Because Gamliel is that, first century rabbi that we are familiar with, right? From the times of the New Testament. For Dan, he was on the Sanhedrin, right? For Dan, Ahiezer, the son of Amishadai. For Asher, you have Pagiel, the son of Ochran. For Gad, you have Elisaph, the son of Deuel. And Naphtali, you have Ahira, the son of Enon. Names you don't necessarily hear all the time, but it's interesting, right? These are ones who are summoned by the congregation, the princes of the tribe of their fathers. These are the heads of the thousands of Israel, right? Shemot is interesting because that's a different, you have Zimri, who gets into some trouble later in the book of Bamidbar. So that's interesting that this is a different prince of the tribe here. There were ones summoned by the congregation and the princes of the tribes of their fathers. They were heads of the thousands of Israel. And Moshe and Aaron took these men who were indicated by their names, and they assembled in the congregation on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees according to their families, according to their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, and the head count of every male from 20 years old and upward, as the Lord commanded Moses. So he did count them in the Sinai desert. Great. And I apologize for any redundancy in this Parsha, which there is plenty, from what I understand. So here you have, this is the sum of the children of Reuben and their descendants, according to their families and their fathers' houses, of the individual names of it. So yeah, going on with that 20-year-old thing, and they count it from the tribe of Reuben, and it gives the numbers. From Shimon, it counts the numbers. So it gives the numbers. As you can tell, I'm not a big numbers guy. The tribe of Gad and their descendants according to their families. They counted the tribe of Gad. Great, 45,650. Tribe of Yehuda. And then it gives the numbers. Then you have the tribe of Issachar. And there you go. The tribe of Zvulun gives their numbers. You have the tribe of Yosef, of Ephraim, descendants and their families. And then the tribe of Manasseh, and they are counted, and the tribe of Benjamin is counted, and the tribe of Dan is counted, and the tribe of Asher is counted, the tribe of Naphtali is counted, and these are the numbered ones whom Moses and the 12 princes of Israel counted, each one representing their father's house. All the children of Israel were counted according to their father's houses. Great. Wonderful. But the Levites, here's the caveat, were, according to their father's tribe, were not numbered among them. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, only the tribe of Levi you shall not number, and you shall not reckon their sum among the children of Israel. Rashi explains, the legion of the king deserves to be counted on his own. Another explanation, the Holy One, blessed be he, foresaw that a decree was destined and enacted against all those from the 20 years and upwards, condemning them to die in the desert. He said, let these not be included, for they are mine, since they did not err in the sin of the golden calf. Interesting. But you shall appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of testimony, over all its vessels, and over all that belong to it. They shall carry the tabernacle, and they shall minister to it, and they shall encamp around the tabernacle. And then it talks about this traveling Mishkan. When it is set to travel, the Levites shall dismantle it. When the temple camps, the Levites shall erect it. So that's their responsibility to do. The children of Israel shall encamp by each man by his own camp, and each man by his division. The Levites shall enter the camp around the Mishkan, and testimony so that there be no wrath upon the congregation of Israel. And the Levites shall keep charge of the Mishkan of the testimony. And the children of Israel did according to all the Lord had commanded Moses. Thus did they do. Okay, so you have them acting in accordance with the Torah. Wonderful. God spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, the children of Israel shall encamp each man by his division with the flag staff of his father's house some distance from the tent of meeting. They shall encamp. Fine, so great. So they have their own distinctive tribal flags. Those camping in front east were the legions under the division of the camp of Judah. The prince of the children of Judah was Nachshon, right? So we know Nachshon, right? Camping next to him was Issachar. The prince in Issachar, Netanel, was the prince of there. And then you have Zvulun. The prince was Eliab, son of Chamun. And then you have, describing the Judah, the amount. It says, so this is interesting. It says, when the cloud was seen departing, the Kohanim would sound trumpets, and the camp of Judah would set off first. And when they traveled, they journeyed forward, retaining the same positions in which they camped, the Levites and the wagons in the center, the division of Judah to the east, Reuben in the south, and Ephraim in the west, and Dan to the north. The legion under the division of the camp of Reuben were to the south, and the prince of the children of Reuben was Elitzur, the son of Shedior. The legion counted, okay, fine, and then you have Shimon, the prince of the children. You have Shulemuel, Shelumiel, the son of, this transliteration, right? Shelumiel, ben Suri Shaddai. Okay, great. His legion was 59,000. Okay. Tribe of Gad, he was Eliasaph, ben Reuel. Okay. And then you have his number, and then you have what just happened. I think I accidentally clicked something. Let's go back. Fine, so where were we? We were here, his legion, and then we have the total sum of the legions of Reuben's camp was 100. Great. Wonderful. And then you have Ephraim, you have Elishama Mahud, and you have Manasseh, you have Gamliel, son of Pedahutzur, and great, Benjamin, you have Abidan, Gidoni, and yeah, Ephraim, great. And Dan, Ahizer, son of Abishai. Yeah, so you see a lot of redundancy in this Parsha. We've seen these names before, we know who they are, and the Israelites did all that the Lord had commanded Moses. They encamped by their divisions, and they did journey such man with each family according to his father's house. So you see Israel following the Torah. Great. We're not a bunch of hopeless sinners with no chance of salvation without some false Messiah, God-man, dying for your sins on a cross. Clearly, that is not the message that the Torah gives. These are the descendants of Aaron and Moses on the day that the Lord spoke to Moses at Har Sinai. And so these are the names of Aaron's son Nadav, the firstborn Abihu, Eleazar, and Itamar. Elazar. This transliteration, I should just read the Hebrew. Elazar. Itamar. These are the sons of Aaron, the anointed Kohanim, who he consecrated to serve. It describes Nadav and Abihu with the tragic death of Nadav and Abihu. And they had no children. And Elazar and Itamar, however, serves as Kohanim in the presence of Aaron, their father. So Elazar was Kohen Gadol, and Itamar was second in command. So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, bring forth the tribe of Levi and present them before Aaron the Kohen, so that they may serve him. So they take charge of the Mishkan and the performances, and they shall take charge of the vessels of the tent of meeting, the children of Israel. And this one, give the Levites to Aaron and their sons, and they will be wholly given over to him, the sons of Israel, the children of Israel. You shall appoint Aaron and his sons and keep the kahuna, and any outsider who is not a Kohen who shall be put to death. So this is a big deal. You gotta, this is reserved for the Kohanim. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, as for me, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel in place of all the firstborns among the children of Israel who have opened the womb. The Levites shall be mine. It says the Israelites should have to hire them for my service. I gain my right to them through the Israelite firstborns, taking the Levites in their place. For originally the service was performed by the firstborns, but when they sinned by worshiping the golden calf, they became disqualified. The Levites who had not committed idolatry were chosen in their stead. The firstborns always get the short stick when it comes to, they get put on this pedestal. You never, from what I have seen, I never see a firstborn getting the blessed, the best blessing, right? Firstborns seem to always get that short stick. Show me an example where a firstborn got, a better blessing than the other brothers. I've never seen it happen. Anyway, for all the firstborns are in the Tanach, of course, I'm referring to, are mine since the day I smote the Egyptians and the firstborns in the land of Egypt. I sanctified myself with all the firstborns in Israel, both man and beast. They shall become mine. I am the Lord. Alrighty, so the Lord spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert, saying, "Count the children of Levi according to their father's house." Okay, more counting. So Moses counted them according to God's word, just as he was commanded. And these were the son of Levi's sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. So these are like the famous Levitical families. Now, I always get confused because in the past, like you see Gershon with a nun sofit here. So that's not to be confused with Moses's son, who I believe it is just in the Hebrew it says Gershom with a mem sofit instead of a nun sofit, right? So I guess they're technically two different names, but very, very similar sounding, and they're both Levites in this context. So Moses had a Levitical son, obviously named Gershom, but I guess Moses also, maybe this was, I'm not exactly sure. Obviously, he's related to Moses, maybe a cousin or an uncle. I can't remember which, but yeah, there's Gershon, who is one of the heads of the Levite divisions. The names of the sons of Gershon according to their families were Libni and Shimei. No, Shimei. Shimei, I don't know. However you say it. The sons of Kohath according to their families were Amram, Itzar, Hebron, and Uziel. Amram was also the name of Moshe's father. Maybe that's him. I'm not 100% sure. The sons of Merari, according to their families, were Mali and Mushi. So interesting. For Gershon, the Libnite family and the Shemite family, they are the Gershonite families. Their son was made according to the number of males from age 1 month and upward. The tally, interesting, amounted to 7,500. 1 month, that 30 days. Maybe that's where the Pidyon Haben concept comes from. Maybe there's like a weird Torah source here for that. I don't know. Let me know for any of you in the know of what I'm talking about. The Gershonite families shall camp behind the Mishkan to the west, the prince of the father's house, and the Gershon. So just giving the location of different Levitical tribes, the Kohath, the Amramite, not Amorite, Amramite family. Okay, fine. So it's just, once again, giving the locations of and then the Kohathite family and the Levites. These aren't Kohanim, but they are still part of the tribe of Levi, which did have special privileges with the service of the Mishkan. The prince over all the princes of the Levites shall be Eleazar, right? So he became Kohen Gadol, the son of Aaron the Kohen, the appointment of all the keepers of the charge of the holy. And then it has Merari and the tally according to the number of males in age. Okay, great. Some more numbers. More of the Merite families and appointment and doing what they do with the Mishkan, with the utensils and the work of the pillars and all the things that the Levitical families do. Camping in front of the Mishkan, in front of the tent of meeting, where the east, where Moses and Aaron and his sons are the keepers of the charge of the sanctuary, as a trust to the children of Israel, and any outsider who approaches shall be put to death. Okay? So just let the Levites do their thing, Some of the male Levites, according to their families, the age of 1 month and upward, counted by Moses. Let's see if they say anything about that 1 month thing. When you count them individually, you will find 300. Okay, so it's just giving some number stuff. Okay, I don't know. If you guys want to get into that, be my guest. But yeah, might be a little bit advanced for what we're getting through. The Lord said to Moses, count every firstborn, male aged 1 month and upwards, the children of Israel, from the time he is no longer categorized as a possibility by a premature birth. Okay. As possibly a premature birth. Okay. Interesting. You shall take the Levites from me and the Lord instead of all the firstborns among the children of Israel, and take the Levites' animals instead of the firstborn animals. So Moses counted every firstborn of Israel as the Lord commanded him. More counting, firstborns counting, and take the Levites instead of the firstborns among the children of Israel, and Levites' animals instead of their animals, and the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. More numbers. It says, as for the 273 of the children of Israel who required redemption, who are in excess of the Levites, you shall take 5 shekels per head according to the holy shekel, by which the shekel is worth 20 gerahs. Okay. And you shall give the money to Aaron and his sons, redemption, the firstborns or excess in them. And Moses took the redemption money, and those in excess, those redeemed by the Levites. Okay, great. They took the money from the firstborn of the children of Israel, 1,365 of the holy shekels. More mathy stuff, if you want to get into that, then get into that. Yeah, I don't know if this is the Pidyon Habeni stuff, but yeah. Then Moses gave the money of those redeemed to Aaron and his sons according with the word of the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, make count of the sons of Kohath. More counting. And Kohathites. And when the camp is about to travel, Aaron and his sons shall come to take down the dividing screen. With it they shall cover the ark of testimony. They shall place upon it a covering of Tanach skin, and on top of it they shall spread a cloth of pure blue wool. Then they shall put poles in its place, and they shall spread a cloth of blue wool on the show table, and they shall place it on the forms, spoons, and the supports covering the frames, and continual bread can be placed upon it. They shall spread upon the cloth of crimson. Okay, so just descriptions of what you do. They shall take a blue cloth and cover the menorah, lighting lamps, its tongs, its scoops, and all its oil vessels used in performing its service. They shall put it in vessels and covering them. Okay, so you can get a visualization of that. Spreading this cloth of blue over the golden altar and covering with Tanach skin, and then set poles in its place, and they shall take the vessels used in the holy and put them in the cloth of blue and cover them with covering Tanach skin and put them in a pole, and they shall remove the ashes from the altar and spread a cloth of purple on it. And they shall place on it all the utensils which they minister upon it, the scoops, the forks, the shovels, the basins, and all the implements of the altar, and they shall spread over it the Tanach skin and set poles in its place. And Aaron and his sons shall finish covering the holy, and all the vessels, the holy, when the camp is set to travel, and following that the sons of Kohath shall come to carry them, but they shall not touch the sacred objects. They will die. These are the burden of the sons of Kohath for the tent of meeting. Look, a lot of this is redundant. A lot of this is very important details that you want to be able to manage without being put to death. In order to do this, I would imagine there has to be some level of understanding. When we talk about the oral Torah, right, we already were able to show the oral Torah is in the Tanach with Nehemiah and Ezra during those times. There's really no way around it. It was observed, and this is the way that it was carried out here. Like, there has to be some sort of oral component so that people aren't, touching things that they're not supposed to touch and dying all the time. So, because these instructions, as quote-unquote specific as they are, I don't know if I can glean that from just reading these verses by themselves as to what is what. So, just putting that out there. The charge of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the Cohen, oil for lighting, the incense and spices, continual daily meal offering, the anointing oil. There's that word, Mashiach, right? That generic word Mashiach that is never used to exclusively refer to the Messiah, son of David, and no one else, contrary to Christian belief. concerning Daniel 9, or really anywhere else in the Tanach. So the charge of the entire Mishkan and all that is in it, of the holy and its furnishings. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Do not cause the tribe of the families of Kohath to be cut off among the Levites. Do this for them, so they shall live and not die. When they approach the Holy of Holies, Aaron and his sons shall first come and appoint each man individually to his task and his load. They shall not come in to see when the holy vessels are being wrapped up, lest they die." So, very important instructions to follow. They're covering, as explained above in this section, they shall spread such cloth over it and cover it with such, and cover and wrapping it mentioned here is identical with the covering. So lots of redundancy in this parsha. Like I said, this is my favorite book of the Torah. So we are going to get to better, interesting narrative parts. And yeah, if you guys can guess my favorite parsha, put it down below in the the comments, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I hope this video has been a blessing to you all. Shalom Aleichem.